welcome to the channel. Today we are going to discuss about an important topic that is cellular adaptation. Before we start, I want you to imagine one simple situation. Suppose a person start going to the gym every day and begins lifting weights regularly. After a few weeks or months, what happens to the muscles? Yes, the muscles become bigger and stronger. Now, my question is, are the muscle cells necessarily damaged? No, right? The cells are actually responding to the increased workload. They are changing themselves so that they can handle the new demand. This ability of cells to change in response to stress is called cellular adaptation. So let's understand this concept from the beginning. What is cellular adaptation? Cellular adaptation means reversible changes in the size, number, phenotype, or function of cells in response to physiological or pathological stress. Let me make this definition very simple. A cell normally has a particular structure and function. But when the cell faces a change in its environment or workload, it may adjust itself. For example, if the workload increases, the cell may become larger. If the workload decreases, the cell may become smaller. If there is increased hormonal stimulation, the number of cell may increase. And if there is chronic irritation, one type of mature cell may be replaced by another type that is better able to tolerate the stress. So these changes are called cellular adaptations. The main purpose of adaptation is actually the survival. So remember this simple sequence. Stress comes and cell adapts and the cell can survive. If the stress is removed, the cell may return toward its normal state. But if the stress becomes too severe or continues for too long, the cell may no longer be able to adapt. Then cellular injury occurs. So the cellular adaptation is actually a protective response of the cell. So there are mainly four types of adaptive changes are there. The first one is atrophy, second hypertrophy, hyperplasia and metaplasia. So the definition you can see, adaptation happens when cells are exposed to stressors but are still able to survive by changing their structure or function. So it is reversible if the stress is removed. So if the stress is removed from the particular cell, then it will be reversible. And there are mainly four types of cellular adaptations are there: atrophy, hypertrophy, hyperplasia, and metaplasia. And one more is there that is dysplasia, but it is not under the adaptive changes. So let's start from the atrophy. First, I want you to imagine a simple situation. Suppose a person has fractured their leg and the leg is kept in a plaster cast for several weeks. During this period, the muscle of that leg are not being used normally, right? So after several weeks, when the plaster is removed, you may notice that the affected leg looks thinner compared with the normal leg. Why did this happen? Because the muscles were not being used for a long time. So the muscle cells have become smaller. This is called atrophy. So the simplest way to remember the atrophy is atrophy means smaller cells. For formally, atrophy is defined as a decrease in size of cells resulting in a decrease in size of the affected tissue or organ. Now, don't confuse atrophy with cell death. In atrophy, the cell becomes smaller and reduces its size, metabolic activity, but the cell can remain alive. The cell is basically trying to survive with the fewer resources. Now, let's understand why atrophy occurs. There are several important causes are there. For example, a deuse or when a muscle is not used for long period, its workload decreases. For the case of paralysis or prolonged immobilization of limb can cause skeletal muscle atrophy. The second cause is loss of nerve supply, also called denervation. Or muscles normally receive signals from the nerves that help the maintain the structure and function. If the nerve supply is lost, the muscle may gradually become smaller. So the third cause is reduced blood supply. Even that could also leads to the atrophy. If a tissue receives inadequate blood supply for prolonged period, the cells receive less oxygen and nutrients. So this can result in cellular atrophy. And the another reason for atrophy is that is inadequate nutrition. If the body doesn't receive sufficient nutrients, the cell may not have enough resources to maintain the normal size. So therefore the cells reduce their components and become smaller. And even aging also another reason. As we grow older, some tissues undergo a gradual reduction in size and functional capacity. So this is also called senile atrophy. So now let's understand what happens inside the cell. Normally, the cell continuously makes proteins and cellular components. But during atrophy, protein synthesis decreases and protein denaturation increases. The cell starts break down some of its protein and organelles. One important process involved here, that is autophagy. So literally we can say self-eating. Don't worry, the cell is not actually eating itself. It means the cell encloses damaged or unnecessary cellular components and sends them for degradation and the recycling. So this helps the cell obtain nutrients and energy, so it can survive when resources are limited. So the overall process can be remembered as reduced workload or reduced resources, which leading to protein synthesis decrease. So the protein degradation increasing and the cellular components decrease and cell become smaller. So that is called atrophy. So now let's take one more example. Imagine an astronaut spending a long time in space because there is very little gravitational loading compared with the life on Earth, right? So the muscles are not working against normal body weight. As a result of it, prolonged space flight can contribute to muscle atrophy. So whenever you hear the word atrophy, think the cell is becoming smaller because it has less demand, less stimulation, or fewer resources. Now remember the important causes. You can remember denervation, decreased blood supply, inadequate nutrition, and aging. So these are the reasons or the causes it's leading to atrophy. So that is the basic concept of the atrophy. So now you know what is atrophy, right? And how does the cell become smaller? That's the question now. So there are three important mechanisms are involved. The first one is decreased protein synthesis. Normally our cells continuously produce proteins. These proteins are required to maintain the structure and function of the cell. So, but when the workload or the stimulation is decreases, the cell doesn't need to maintain the same amount of cellular machinery. So, therefore, the protein synthesis decreases. For example, think about a person whose leg has been immobilized in a plaster cast for a long time because the muscle is not being used. So, there is less demand for muscle proteins. So, the cell reduces its anabolic activity. In the case of second, increased protein degradation, for example, at the same time that protein synthesis decreases, the cell starts breaking down some of its existing protein. So one important pathway involved here is the ubiquitin proteasome pathway. So now don't worry about the complicated name. Think about the proteasome as a cellular recycling or the disposal system. Proteins that are no longer needed are marked with a small protein called ubiquitin. The ubiquitin acts like a label's naming, so same like this protein needs to be removed. The labeled protein is then delivered to the proteasome where it is broken down into smaller components. So during atrophy, protein synthesis decreases and protein degradation increases. So loss of cellular proteins, which is leading to cells become smaller. And the third one you can see that is autophagy, and the autophagy means self-eating. But don't take that literally, like it means the cell starts breaking down and recycling some of its own unnecessary or damaged components. So these components can include proteins and the organelles. The material is enclosed and delivered to lysosomes where it is degraded. So it is resulting components can then be recycled and used again by the cells. So why would the cell do this? Because during conditions such as like reduced workload or limited nutrients, the cell is trying to survive with the fewer resources. So now let's look at the morphology of atrophy. What does an atrophied organ looks like? At the gross level, the organ becomes smaller and may appear shrunken. For example, an unused muscle becomes visibly thinner. Now, if we look under the microscope, we can see several changes. The individual cell appears smaller, and reduction in the number of cellular organelles, and increased autophagic vacuoles. So, this is all we can see in the case of atrophy. So the easiest way to remember hypertrophy, that is bigger cells. Hypertrophy means the cell size of the individual cells increases. So hypertrophy is an increase in the size of cells which is leading to an increase in size of the affected tissue or organ. It occurs due to the synthesis of more structural components within the cells, resulting in enhanced function but without an increase in cell number. So, in the hypertrophy, the size of the individual cells increases. Because the cell become larger, the entire organ or tissue may also become larger. So, remember, in the hypertrophy, cell size will become increases. Imagine a person who regularly performs weight training. The skeletal muscles are repeatedly exposed to increased workload. So the muscle cells responds by increasing the synthesis of protein and other cellular components. So at the result of it, the individual muscle fibers become larger. So you can remember like that exercise increasing the workload, so increased protein synthesis, the exactly opposite of atrophy. So that is increasing the muscle fiber size, which is leading to hypertrophy. So this is an example of physiological hypertrophy because it occurs as a normal response to increased demand. There is another important example. During pregnancy, the uterus become much larger. So this occurs partly because uterine smooth muscle cells actually become larger. So the pregnancy can produce physiological hypertrophy of the uterus. So now let's look at the pathological example. Suppose a person has chronic hypertension. The heart has to pump blood against increased resistance. So the cardiac muscle has to work harder. Because of this increased workload, cardiac muscle cells become larger, and that is called cardiac hypertrophy. So initially this can be help the heart generate more force, but remember adaptation is not always beneficial for our. If the hypertension continues for a long time, the enlarged heart may eventually become dysfunctional. So the oxygen requirement increases and eventually heart failure may develop. So an adaptive response can become harmful when the stress is persists for a long time. So look at the causes and mechanism of hypertrophy. There are two main causes are there. First one is increased functional demand. For example, during regular exercise, muscle experience increased workload and become larger. And the second one is hormonal stimulation. For example, during pregnancy, hormonal stimulation contributes to enlargement of uterine smooth muscle. So now, how does hypertrophy occur? So first you can see the protein synthesis increasing. So it producing more cellular proteins and organelles. And second, genes involved in cell growth and protein synthesis are activated, and the third one is growth factors are stimulated, so which further promote cellular growth. So remember, increased workload or the hormonal stimulation, gene and the growth factor activation, increased protein synthesis are the reason for the larger cells, that means the hypertrophy. So, in the morphological changes of hypertrophy, you can see the cells appears to be larger and increased cytoplasmic volume and enlarged nuclei due to increased synthesis of DNA. So, these are the characteristics of microscopy or the morphology of hypertrophic cells, and the examples are cardiac hypertrophy that happens in the heart muscles, skeletal muscle hypertrophy that happens in the muscles, and uterine hypertrophy. So these all are the examples for hypertrophy. And the third one is hyperplasia. In the hyperplasia, you can see the number of cells increases here. So hypertrophy was size increases, and in the case of hyperplasia, the number of cells are increasing. So both are different. So let's take a simple example here. During pregnancy, hormonal stimulation causes proliferation of cells in the mammary glands, right? So the number of glandular cells increases to prepare the breast for milk production. So this is an example of physiological hyperplasia. And another example is the regeneration of liver. So suppose a portion of liver is removed or damaged, the remaining cells can proliferate in response to growth signals. So this helps to restore the liver mass. So now let's compare the hypertrophy and hyperplasia. In the hypertrophy, the same basic number of cells, but the cells become larger. And in the hyperplasia, the number of cells increases. So there are two types of hyperplasia, the physiological and pathological. In the physiological, I have already given you one example. During puberty, the breast size is increasing. And in the pathological, you can see the endometrial hyperplasia. So due to excessive estrogen level and benign prostate hyperplasia in aging men. So these are the few examples for hyperplasia. So you can keep physiological hyperplasia and pathological hyperplasia, and their examples are mentioned here. There are several causes of hyperplasia. The first one is hormonal. So, the hormonal stimulation, for example, estrogen stimulates proliferation of the endometrium. So, second one, increased functional demand. For example, chronic blood loss stimulates the bone marrow to produce more blood cells. And next, you can see the compensatory mechanism and the chronic irritation. So the chronic irritation means such as like a persistent skin irritation can cause epidermal hyperplasia, and compensatory mechanisms, that means, for example, after part of the liver is removed, the remaining cells proliferate to restore liver mass. And in the now, how does hyperplasia occur? The first, the rate of cell division increases, and second, the stem cells can become activated and proliferate to replace lost or damaged cells. And the growth factor stimulates the cell division and proliferation. So you can remember the stimulus or which increasing or leading to the growth factors or the stem cell activation. Increased cell division is leading to increased number of cells. So that you can call hyperplasia. I hope the causes of hyperplasia and the mechanism of hyperplasia are clear. So next, the final one or the fourth one is the metaplasia. So which means reversible change in which one mature cell type is replaced by another mature cell type. For example, usually it occurs as an adaptation to chronic irritation or stress. So in chronic smokers, the normal ciliated columnar epithelium of a respiratory tract can be replaced by stratified squamous epithelium. So this new cell type is more resistant to irritation. So but it loses the normal ciliary functions. So here you can remember the one cell is changing into another shape and structure of cells. So you can remember Barrett's esophagus, where the chronic acid reflux can causing to replacement of natural squamous epithelium by intestinal type columnar epithelium. So the important point is that the original cell don't simply transform directly into another cell type here. Instead, stem or the progenitor cells are programmed to produce a different type of mature cells. So that is hyperplasia. So the metaplasia, it is reversible, but persistent metaplasia may increase the risk of dysplasia and cancer. The dysplasia is different. So dysplasia is the beginning of cancer cell formation. So here you can see the causes and even the few examples of metaplasia. So cigarette smoke, I said earlier. So cigarette smoking is leading to changes of cell and chronic acid reflux. That means the Barrett esophagus also changing the structure of the before cells shape and structure, and environmental factors, nutritional deficiencies, and pathological stimuli, for example, chronic inflammation or infection, that also being the cause of metaplasia. So here we can see the causes and the examples of metaplasia. Metaplasia actually usually occurs because of chronic irritation or stress. The important point is that one mature cell doesn't simply transform directly into the another mature cell. Instead, the stem cells or the progenitor cells are reprogrammed. So, because of changes in signals and gene expression, the stem cells start producing different type of mature cells that is better suited to tolerate the stressful environment. So you can remember like this the chronic irritation, which is altering the signals and gene expression. So entirely it's changing the stem cell reprograms. So it's changing the stem cells. So different cells differentiation is leading to metaplasia condition. So usually metaplasia doesn't produce a dramatic gross change in the organ. The affected area may appear slightly thickened, roughened, or altered in the color or texture. So depending on the tissue and cause. In the case of microbiology, microscopic morphology, under the microscope you can see like a replacement of one mature epithelium cell type by another mature cell type. So, for example, ciliated columnar epithelium with a mucus producing cells and cilia. In the case of metaplasia, stratified squamous epithelium with a loss of normal cilia and mucus producing cells, you can see. So, in the metaplasia, you can remember one cell's shape and the structure. The entire cell is changing into different type. Just a brief overview here. So, what is atrophy? Atrophy means the size of the cell is reducing, and hypertrophy means size of the cell increases, and hyperplasia means number of cell increases. Metaplasia means one cell reprogramming to another cell, even entire cell is changing. And dysplasia means I haven't discussed in this series, but the dysplasia means entirely changing. For example, metaplasia is leading to dysplasia. For example, you can remember as a cancer cells are the example for dysplasia.